at the end of the day, what this is going to be right here is me doing something I try not to do anymore overtly, which is teach white people about racism. There's a movie coming out, in fact. I don't know if y'all have seen it yet. The Emmett Till movie. And I hate it. Emmett Till to me is one of the most like triggering stories for me to see and think about. I've literally cried multiple times just being presented with not just the image of Emmett Till when he was after his murder in the Jet magazine, but just knowing the reality of what that story was. That movie is not being created for anybody except for white liberals. That is who that movie is for. And it's for white liberals to see it and then discard it. They're not going to see it and then fight to have it taught in, U.S. history. They're not going to see it and try to address structural racism within this country, income inequality. Like, they're not going to see it and do anything productive. They're going to see it. They're going to be like, oh, wow, that was a lot. And then they're going to move on. It's basically This Is Us for them. And it's not that I don't think the story should be told. It should be told. It should be told in our history. It should be told that, like, I had to learn that. I think every black child learns that either at a Black History function or an honor uncle, or one rogue teacher maybe, but it's not in the curriculum. And literally, they are actively trying to remove critical race theory, from American curriculums around the country. Yet they will make a movie like Till. That is the clown activity of teaching white people about racism. Now, obviously, a chunk of my content has the basic goal of doing that function. I'm not oblivious to the reality of what my content ends up doing for a chunk of my white audience. That's what I talked about the other day about commodifying blackness. It is what it is. But specifically, when it's done with this, I don't want to say toothless, but there's a certain way to do it where you all but guarantee nothing will actually be learned. And that's what I see in that movie. And that's what I try. That's something I've done in my past, because I've always been effective at communicating about how racism works. And I've always enjoyed at times, explaining issues of race to people that don't get it, hoping that it would be something that they could learn, right? But you do it enough and you realize that you may or may not have changed a singular mind, which is always good if you can change somebody's mind. But you're not gonna, stop the full flow of how white supremacy makes, white supremacy requires, not just makes, it requires that white people do not understand race at a basic level. That they think stuff like, I don't see race, I don't see color, is a useful response to racism, or treat everybody the same. Those are tropes that are reproduced within white communities, because those tropes make it really difficult to have productive conversations about how race really works in this country. And so once you've done that enough, you don't feel like doing it anymore. Unless somebody pays you really well. And then even then, I don't know how people do it for and that's their full job. If I make a video, I don't know, talking about, what's the last video I made that was really for white people and racism? I guess, I don't know. I feel like have I been better than I think? Am I not giving myself enough credit? How to Be an Ally, the video, is probably my most okay, let's break this down and just work through it. All right. You still with me? That was probably my most hand holding video like that. The Obama ones kind of, but I feel like that was the Obama ones are for me. That was me. That was a therapy session I just filmed. I talked about it, but the Ally one was the last one where I was very intentional about issues around race. And I guess parts of the manosphere still, but that had other layers. First off, there's no such thing as whiteness to begin with, right? Race is a social construct. No such thing as blackness. Whiteness is a property. It's a class designation, and it is the hegemonic, the top hierarchical class designation. And so people that are white are actually Irish or, Italian, or sometimes technically Latino or whatever. Those are people who are designated as white because they have a claim to a white class status. And so, you can't have whiteness without white people, but you have to. What I'm trying to get at is that it's useful, especially when you're talking about addressing systemic issues, to separate the individual behavior and nature of a white person from the leviathan that is white supremacy and white class status. Does that make sense? It goes going back to something I said with the Bo Burnham video. Racism isn't evil because evil isn't real. And the point of me saying that was to understand that going back to my Emmett Till slander, people are going to watch Emmett Till and say, look at those evil white people. Look at those bad guys. They're going to point and say, those are the bad guys. They are bad. And they're not going to recognize that Emmett Till's murder wasn't just an individual, two or three, I don't know how many individual white men that murdered a little boy. It was also the court system that found them not guilty, that didn't even want to take them to trial, that let the white woman who lied about it go get away with it to this day. It's also the culture of anti-blackness and anti-black male that depicted black men as, rapists and beasts, that the idea that he even would have talked to a woman was something punishable by death. It's bigger than just an individual act of a white person. And so that's why I'm always, and this is not I'm not doing a perfect job of this, but I always am explicit about thinking about whiteness as a cultural force or a class status versus, an individual.